The world of fame and beauty is often a dangerous one. Behind every smile on the red carpet, behind every flash of the cameras, there lies a story, sometimes beautiful, sometimes cruel. And when your name is Cristiano Ronaldo, every move you make, every glance you share, becomes a headline. It started with a whisper, a few photos, a blurry image that appeared on social media and spread like wildfire. The caption read, "Ronaldo and Irina back together?" That was all it took. Within hours, millions of fans were talking, speculating, arguing. The internet had found its new obsession, a love story that ended years ago, now being brought back to life by rumors and lies. But behind the noise, behind the trending hashtags and fan edits, there was a truth that very few knew. Ronaldo and Irina Shayk had ended their relationship way back in 2015, with no bitterness, no drama, just two people choosing different paths. Since then, Ronaldo's life had transformed completely. He had found something real with Georgina Rodriguez, a woman who stood by him, supported him, and became part of his family. Together, they built a world of love and peace far away from the chaos of gossip. Yet, fame doesn't forget. The past always has a way of returning, even when you've buried it deep. When those rumors started again, Georgina didn't say anything at first. She simply watched the headlines, the comments, the photos. The world was watching her, waiting for her reaction. Some thought she'd be furious. Some thought she'd be heartbroken. But Georgina was calm, too calm, because deep down, she knew the truth. The so-called secret photos that were going viral were nothing new. They were old images, some from 2014, some from events that had already been explained countless times. But social media doesn't care about the truth. It feeds on drama. It only needs a spark to light a fire. Ronaldo was in his training camp when his phone started buzzing uncontrollably. His manager called, his PR team sent messages, and friends asked what was going on. He opened Instagram, and there it was, the rumor that he had somehow reconnected with Irina Shayk. For a moment, he just sighed. Not out of guilt, but out of exhaustion. He knew how the internet worked. He had seen it destroy reputations, twist stories, and hurt people he cared about. But this time, it wasn't about him, it was about Georgina. He knew she didn't deserve to face the storm. Later that evening, when Ronaldo returned home, Georgina was sitting in the living room. The television was off. The air was heavy, silent. She looked at him, searching for something. Not truth, but reassurance. Ronaldo walked up to her, took her hands and said quietly, "You know how they are. They'll say anything for attention. But you know me, I would never go back to something that belongs to the past. You are my present. You are my home." Georgina didn't reply right away. She just looked at him, the man the world called a superstar, but to her, he was just Cristiano, the father of her children, the man who laughed with her, protected her, and shared dreams that went beyond fame. And slowly, she smiled. But even if Georgina believed him, the world didn't stop talking. Paparazzi started digging. Old videos, past interviews, even gestures from years ago were being dissected like pieces of a puzzle. Some outlets claimed sources close to Irina had seen Ronaldo liking something related to her on social media. Others fabricated fake chats, fake sightings, because lies sell faster than truth. Irina Shayk, meanwhile, was caught off guard. She hadn't spoken to Ronaldo in years. She was living her own life, modeling, focusing on her daughter, staying away from drama. When she saw her name trending again beside his, she was shocked. Her team quickly released a short statement. "Irina has no contact with Cristiano Ronaldo. Any claims otherwise are false. But once the rumor will starts turning, it's almost impossible to stop." The following days were tough for Georgina. Every time she opened her phone, she saw stories questioning her relationship. She didn't cry, but something inside her hurt. Not because she doubted Ronaldo, but because she saw how quickly people forgot the truth. How easily the world was ready to tear apart something that took years to build. Ronaldo, on the other hand, did what he always does. He kept working, training, smiling publicly. But privately, he made sure Georgina felt loved, safe, and understood. Late at night, when the noise outside grew too loud, he'd take her hand and whisper, "They don't know us. They don't see what we have." And slowly, the truth began to surface. Investigations by media fact-checkers revealed that the so-called new photos were actually taken during a charity event in Madrid in 2014. A simple handshake turned into a love story by imagination. Fans started realizing they were fooled. Some apologized, some moved on, but for Ronaldo and Georgina, the damage had already been felt. Not to their relationship that remained unshaken, but to their peace. Still, Georgina learned something important through it all. Fame will always bring shadows, and love, true love, must stand strong even when surrounded by lies. That night, she posted a single photo on her Instagram, a picture of her, Ronaldo, and their kids, smiling, peaceful, together. The caption read, "Truth doesn't need to scream, it just exists." It went viral, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. And that's when the world realized the connection people were talking about was never between Ronaldo and Irina. It was between Ronaldo and Georgina, the connection that stood the test of time, rumors, and noise. Because love, when it's real, doesn't need defending. It speaks for itself. The storm didn't end in a day. Rumors rarely die quickly, especially when they feed the internet's hunger for drama. Even after Irina Shayk's team denied every connection, tabloids refused to let it go. They had found gold in this story, and they weren't ready to stop digging. Every morning, new exclusive headlines appeared. Secret messages between Ronaldo and Irina? Georgina's silent reaction. Inside the tension at the Ronaldo household. Titles designed not to inform but to inflame. But this time, something was different. The noise was getting personal. A Spanish entertainment show claimed to have inside footage from a private event in Dubai, where Ronaldo was supposedly seen talking to someone who looked like Irina Shayk. But when fans replayed the clip, frame by frame, they realized it wasn't her. It was a completely different person. Yet, by then, the video had already gathered millions of views. The truth was too slow. The lie had already gone viral, and in the middle of all this chaos, Georgina stayed quiet. Not because she was weak, but because silence is sometimes louder than words. She had learned over the years that in Ronaldo's world, peace doesn't come from reacting. It comes from knowing. But even the strongest hearts can feel pressure. One evening, Georgina was scrolling through social media. She saw fan pages arguing, some defending her, others mocking her. Hashtags comparing her with Irina filled her screen. That was when her phone buzzed. A message from one of her friends in Madrid. It said, "Ignore them. You know your worth." She smiled faintly, closed her phone, and looked across the room. Ronaldo was sitting on the couch, laughing with their children, helping the youngest one build a Lego tower. That moment reminded her, the internet can talk all it wants, but this was real. Her home, her family, her love, nothing online could take that away. Still, she knew Ronaldo couldn't stay silent forever. The world was waiting for him to speak. And he did. A week later, during an interview for a European sports magazine, Ronaldo was asked about the Irina rumors. The interviewer phrased it carefully, but the meaning was clear. For a brief second, he paused, smiled, and said, "People love stories, even when they're not true. Irina is part of my past. I respect her, but my life has moved forward. I'm a father, a partner, and a man who knows what he wants. The truth is simple. Georgina is my world." The interviewer nodded, but the world exploded again, this time in a different way. Fans flooded social media with clips of that moment. The sincerity in Ronaldo's voice silenced thousands of doubters. The video went viral in hours, spreading across every major platform. For Georgina, watching that interview felt different. She had always known he loved her, but hearing him say it publicly with calm certainty made her eyes fill with quiet tears, not of pain but of pride. However, the story didn't end there. Irina Shayk herself, tired of being dragged into the mess, took to her social media to address it directly. She posted a single story, a simple black screen with white text. "Let people live their lives. I moved on years ago. I wish them happiness." It was short, elegant, and final. That one post shifted everything. Suddenly, the media that once fueled the story began turning against itself. They started questioning their own sources, realizing that their obsession with creating drama had backfired. Fans began defending both women, calling for respect and truth. But behind all this, the emotional impact lingered. Georgina had been strong, but she was human. One night, while Ronaldo was sitting in their garden after training, she joined him quietly. The air was cool, the stars bright over their villa in Riyadh. She sat beside him and whispered, "Sometimes I wonder if peace even exists in your world." He looked at her for a moment, the man who had faced everything, from poverty to global fame, and said softly, Peace isn't given Geo, it's protected. That night, they didn't speak much. They just sat together, hand in hand, as the city lights shimmered in the distance. The next morning, Ronaldo's PR team released a new set of family photos for a charity campaign. Georgina was there, smiling alongside their children. The world saw those pictures, and finally, the narrative began to shift. The media headlines changed tone. Now they read, Ronaldo shuts down rumors with love, and Irina's message ends speculation. Slowly, the chaos faded. But for Georgina, this episode left a mark. Not a scar, but a lesson. She understood more than ever that love in the spotlight demands strength beyond words. Fame can make you powerful, but it also makes you vulnerable in private. Ronaldo made sure to remind her every day that what they had wasn't just for the cameras. Whether they were in their mansion or walking barefoot on the beach, he'd tell her, let them talk, let them guess. We know who we are. And that was enough. The world finally moved on. The rumors were buried beneath new stories, new scandals. But those who truly followed Ronaldo and Georgina knew this wasn't just a denial. It was a testament that no matter how loud the noise becomes, love that's built on trust will always be louder. Because in the end, the truth doesn't fade. It only waits to be seen. Time passed and the world moved on. But inside the hearts of those involved, something had changed forever. The noise had faded, the rumors had died, but the echo of what happened lingered. Not as pain, but as a quiet reminder of how fragile peace can be in the world of fame. For Georgina Rodriguez, this storm became a moment of awakening. She had always known that being with a man like Cristiano Ronaldo came with a price. The endless cameras, the scrutiny, the jealousy, the rumors. But until now, she hadn't realized how deeply the outside world could twist something so pure. One morning, as she sat by the window of their home in Riyadh, she looked out at the golden desert stretching endlessly before her. The kids were playing in the living room, their laughter echoing softly. She thought about how lucky she was, not because of the luxury or fame, but because she had something most people in that world didn't. Real love, built on real understanding. She opened her laptop and started writing. Not a statement, not a response, just words from her heart. She wrote about love, about patience, about learning to stay silent when the world shouts lies. She wrote about how sometimes silence is the strongest answer. When she finished, she read it again, smiled, and posted it on her Instagram with a photo of her holding Cristiano's hand at sunset. The caption read, "In a world full of noise, peace is choosing love again and again." The post went viral, not because it was dramatic, but because it was powerful. Fans across the world filled the comments with support, love, and admiration. For many, Georgina's post wasn't just about her relationship. It was about courage, about how a woman could stay graceful in the middle of chaos. Ronaldo saw the post later that night after training. He didn't say a word. He just walked up to her, hugged her tightly, and whispered, "You're stronger than they'll ever know." But far away in New York, Irina Shayk also saw that post. She didn't feel anger or jealousy, only peace. She had already moved on. But this entire episode had reminded her how cruel fame could be. She sent a private message to Georgina, short and sincere. It said, "I wish you both happiness. Let them talk. They always will." Georgina replied with just 2 words, "Thank you, Irina." That simple exchange ended a chapter that the world had tried to reopen for years. No fights, no bitterness, just closure between 2 women who had both, in their own ways, loved the same man at different times. Weeks later, life returned to normal. Ronaldo was back on the field, scoring, smiling, breaking records like always. Georgina was back to her routines, modeling, filming her Netflix show, and spending time with her children. The noise had finally disappeared, replaced by something more powerful. Respect. One evening, while the family was having dinner, the topic came up again. One of their older kids had overheard something at school. A classmate asking if the Irina thing was real. Georgina smiled gently and said, "People will always tell stories, but what matters is what's true inside your home." Ronaldo looked at her, proud. He had won countless trophies, broken countless records, but in that moment he realized something. Fame could give him everything except peace. Peace came from Georgina, from her strength, her calm, her love that didn't need to shout. As the days turned into weeks, their family grew closer. Ronaldo started spending more time at home, taking small breaks from the endless spotlight. They began traveling again, quiet vacations away from the cameras, just to breathe. On one of those trips, during a quiet evening by the sea, Georgina turned to him and said softly, "Do you ever regret the life we live?" Ronaldo shook his head. "No," he said, "because no matter what happens out there, I know who I come home to." The moon reflected on the water, and for the first time in months, she felt completely calm. Meanwhile, the media that had once chased the Ronaldo-Irina headline had already found new stories. But something had changed in how they viewed Georgina. Journalists began to speak of her not as Ronaldo's girlfriend, but as a woman who carried herself with dignity through the storm. She became an example of grace in chaos. Her silence became her weapon, her love her statement. And Irina? She too found peace. In a later interview, when asked about Ronaldo, she simply smiled and said, "Life gives you people who teach you and people who stay. Both are blessings." That one sentence showed maturity, forgiveness, and understanding. A clear sign that she had truly moved on as months passed. The chapter that once threatened to create cracks ended up doing the opposite. It made everyone stronger. Ronaldo learned that protecting love was more important than defending reputation. Georgina learned that silence is not weakness, but wisdom. And Irina learned that peace is letting go. Completely. One night, as the stars filled the sky above their home, Georgina and Ronaldo sat together after putting the kids to bed. The world outside was quiet. The rumors, the noise, the chaos, all gone. She leaned on his shoulder and whispered, "Funny how lies brought us closer." He smiled, kissed her forehead, and replied, "Because truth always wins in the end." A soft wind passed through the open window. Somewhere, faintly, the sounds of the city hummed. Life going on as always. But in that house, there was only stillness, love, and gratitude. The cameras might one day chase them again. The rumors might one day return. That's the price of fame. But now they knew no storm could shake a foundation built on trust. And that, in the end, was the real story. Not about reconnections or past loves, but about strength, loyalty, and the kind of love that doesn't break. It simply grows stronger through every lie told against Itso. When the world shouted, "Is Ronaldo back with Irina?" the truth quietly whispered back, "No, Ronaldo never left Georgina." And that was all that mattered.